My name is Chidimma Orangwa.
And I'm Ajuluchuku Okabu.
All right, this morning we are starting the show with a press review that's bringing your way the stories that are trending on our national dailies. But first, we'll start with ABS website. But before we do that, we are going to take a short break. When we come back, we introduce our guests to you, and then we'll go straight into discussion. Stay with us. All right, you're welcome back. And our guest this morning is Samuel Ololo. Samuel is a public affairs analyst. Glad to have you on the show this morning, Sam.
Good morning. Good morning, Nigel. Nanama, good morning to you all.
All right, quickly, we are starting with news on ABS website. The first story we have there, Anambra State government reassures oil communities of improved infrastructure. Anambra State government inaugurates task force on implementation of food security. Soludo dedicates Governor of the Year award to Ndi Anambra. Children's Day, Mrs. Soludo celebrates with a children of Model Community Children's Home, Orca. Okay, that's the story, or the stories that we have on our website this morning. Samuel, which one would you want to talk about?
First of all, happy Children's Day to all
of us.
But most especially those that are the real and genuine children.
Children, yeah.
It's wonderful that another day has come for we, at family level, at state level, and at national level, to once again take stock of how we have actually taken care of these children. I know that there are lots of laws and policies that are actually made to protect the children. And today is a wonderful day, maybe for us to even hear from them, to know how they are faring. But quickly, I would celebrate with the governor who dedicated his award to Ndi Anambra. And would use this opportunity to call his attention to the plight of an everyday child. It's one thing that he has dedicated the award to Ndi Anambra, but it's another thing to also we want to see in Anambra State governance at its peak. And when we talk about governance at its peak, we are looking at a system where every child is well taken care of. They are well provided for. And whenever we are doing the politics of the nation, or politics of the state, or politics of the community, we should find a way to immune the children from it. There are basic minimum that every society is expected to have, be it food, be it shelter, be it clothing, be it education, be it health. So, and then they are talking about food security, how to fight food security. For me, in my mind, why adults are allowed to do their thing, I want to use today, that is Children's Day, to urge everywhere in Nigeria, especially our leaders, to try to immune the children from every form of abuse, because whatever we plant in them today is what we are going to reap in the future. And we don't want to continue to have a shattered community filled with children who are lost as people that we are going to be calling the leaders of tomorrow. I think that should be a food for thought for all of us.
All right, thank you so much. And you see, yesterday, Mrs. Soludo also celebrated these children. She went to Model Community Children's Home in Oka. We saw the pictures all over the social media where she was cooking for them. Of course, preaching her healthy living with Nonye Soludo and all that. And we must commend her for that art yesterday. Okay, let's quickly go over to the papers that we have for you this morning.
The papers we have for you this morning, we'll be starting with the Punch newspaper, and the banner headline is talking about the coastal highway with 30 million businesses that's coming from the president. And it says projects will foster trade, tourism, seeks counterpart funding. Tinubu insists landowners will get compensation. 700-kilometer highway is a symbol of unity. And we also have Kano Emirates tussle. Bayero supporters protest as Sanusi meets district heads. And the rider there says, hope I can capture that. Bayero is our emir. Protests persist. Protesters insist. Arewa group urges the throne leader to vacate Ghana. Wow. We also have the federal government suit against 36 governors over local government funds begin. Gunmen abduct Ondo travelers, 4 others escape. Outrage over brutal murder of Oyo private university students. Minor killed, others injured as excavator hits Lagos mosque. Quickly, let's see what we have on the Vanguard newspaper. Okay, there's Children's Day. NUT laments over 20 million out of school children. Navy unveils 3 ships, 2 helicopters on May 30th. Wow, that would be nice to fight insurgency. And quickly, let's see what we have on the Vanguard. How Nigeria can earn more. Forex stabilize Naira. Forex stabilize Naira by expert. That's what the experts are saying. And Vanguard Economic Discuss. We have UBA will beat recapitalization deadline. That's coming from Elumelu. Emir, we've seen that. Standstill, confusion as Lagos shuts road for Tinubu's project commissioning. And then we see federal government drags 36 governors to Supreme Court, 6 local government autonomy. And then we have the riders there saying on that Forex stabilization on Naira, bold pro-business reforms will enhance dollar supply. And NASTIMA leverage national assets to attract dollar inflows. And then we also have Nigeria must earn dollars, have transparent Forex markets. That's coming from Rewani. And then BDCs urge collaboration, fairness from CBN. Forex reforms producing results. That's coming from Cardozo. Nigeria in mixed performance amidst 42% increase in dollars traded. Quickly, that's all we have on the front pages of the Punch and the Vanguard newspaper. Samuel, Coastal Highway will boost 30 million businesses. That's coming from the president. In what capacity, if I may ask?
Is he the president?
I think the presidency giving that is just merely justifying the project and trying to make Nigerians see the end through the means. We have argued if that is really what we want now, if it is actually looking at scale of preference, what is the priority of the list, or as the need of Nigerians and then Nigeria. But obviously, our leaders have their own priority, and then this just goes clearly to distinguish that it's now clear that the priorities of our leaders seem to be completely different and at divergent level with the priority of an everyday Nigerian citizen whom ordinarily voted these people in quote. And I want to believe that if, of course, you are there because the citizens have given you the mandate to go and represent them. So at every point in time, there should be this recourse to what is the feeling of the people? What are the people saying about this? And from the feelings you get, unadulterated data source would then inform what the government would do, whether to continue or not. But it's obvious that why the citizens are lamenting of hunger, why the citizens are lamenting of poverty, why the citizens are lamenting of diseases, and then we are talking about an insecurity. We are talking about food insecurity at one level with inflation. We are talking about our primary health care centers and other health facilities not being capable to attend to the need of an everyday Nigerian, whom, as I would say now from experience and evidence we have gathered in the field, pray not to get sick at this point in time, because you'll be frustrated. Even the kind of treatment you would get would be worse than the sickness itself. So these are really where we think the government should channel their attention to. We've talked about 20,000 out of school children.
20 million?
20 million, sorry, out of school children. 2 days ago, there was this social media video where the students were schooling just at a bacha without roof. They use starch to do the roof, and then you see primary 1 student, just still children. And these people are the people that sing "Arise, O Compatriot." They are the people that want to become patriotic, but they don't see any sense of the country taking care of them. They don't see any sense of belonging. Whereas what the government spends their money always doing, if they're not building airports, they're building now coastal highways. That is what we're talking about. Is it completely wrong? No. But what we are saying now is, at this point in time, is it where the government should channel the resources that they don't even have? It is one thing that we have these resources. So if people are complaining, I've given your own share, this is what we have earmarked for this. But they are borrowing heavily to fund these projects. And many Nigerians might not even make use of that coastal highway.
There are lots of.
I will not even know when
100 million Nigerians in their lifetime
might not make use of that
highway.
Okay, so some people begin to argue that the revenue from the highway, in quotes, might then have a ripple effect, but that is apart. But the question now is, this highway, when is it going to be finished? Will it be finished under this administration? And then are we sure that the next administration, when they come on board, will they continue the project? These are really technical questions that I think the government should ask themselves. And as those who are in charge of our economy, give a profound response and then take an informed decision. But so far, they seem to be doing what is in their mind, possibly to score cheap political points, so that they will say at their own time, this is what they did, at detriment of healthy living of an average Nigerian.
All right, let's go over to the next paper. That's the Daily Independent newspaper this morning. Daily Independent, the big story there, Tinubu 1 year in office, airline industry nosedives, passengers traffic drops amid high fares. Experts say Jet A1 price increased from 790 naira to 1,500 naira per litre. Asks federal government to reverse policies hurting growth of aviation sector. AGF drags governors to Supreme Court over full local government autonomy. And then we still have up there, federal government draws flack for alleged interference in Kano Emir ship tussle, warned against throwing state into crisis. A Lagos Calabar Highway project, symbol of hope, unity, and prosperity. Tinubu, building demolition, call last BCA boss to order. Oba Elegushi, lawyer, tells Sanwo-Olu, banks recapitalization not enough to achieve $1 trillion GDP target. Experts. First anniversary, Serap asks Tinubu to publish his assets. Tinubu yet to find the right way to handle economy, says Obasanjo. Lagos mosque collapse, woman dead, 4 victims in hospital. Okay, Tinubu's 1 year in office. One would think that, like, at least by now, we'll be dishing out some of his achievements or what he has done so far in 1 year. But we can see that it's from one problem to another. The big story in the front page of Daily Independent, it started with Tinubu 1 year in office and told us what is happening in the aviation industry. And down there, we can see Serap asking him to declare his asset. Then again, the former president, Obasanjo, is saying that he's yet to find the right way to handle issues.
So for me, first of all, I would sympathize with, should I say, at this point in time, indigenes or citizens of Ebonyi State, a bit, whom the former governor, who is currently the Minister of Works, succeeded in constructing an airport for them. obviously, as the aviation sector is crying, it then means that that airport, those that have already been in use for a long time are complaining. How much more an airport that is still starting to be used? I would not be surprised if it goes into comatose, and then this is the resources of Ebonyi people that will go down the drain. But be it as it may, I think the president should listen to the cries of the citizens, really. He started with his subsidy is gone pronouncement from day one. And so the question is, there has been this argument with increase in forest, with increase sometimes in international oil price, relatively, even though, well, the increase in fuel in Nigeria is not commensurate with what we see playing at the national and international stage. So the question is, what is going on? And I mean, the president can really still come out, own that he made a mistake, and then retrace his steps if he can, really, because it is part of that announcement that nosedived the economy. During Buhari's era, it was his go slow approach that made us go into depression. And this one came on board and wanted to make an immediate.
And because he said he was going to hit the ground.
He was going to hit the ground running, and he wanted to make an immediate pronouncement. And he made an immediate pronouncement, and this is where we are. These things are happening really because I'll still go back to the genesis. I mean, let this be the last time in Nigeria an election would happen, and people who are not the wishes of the masses would be favored into power. Because already you are not getting the support of the masses. And once the support of the masses is not there, even sometimes your brilliant policies might not work. Because we have seen projects that a community did not really buy into. No matter how gigantic it is, nobody is using it. And over time it would maybe become dilapidated and nothing happens again. So I think we should begin to connect the nexus between elections, politics, and good governance. We cannot separate all of them. If it is the people's choice that is there, I bet you there is a way people would even rally around to make whatever policies to work, unless if it is at the extreme case, then that is when people will be complaining. But at this pace that the government is going, and you can see it in the outcome of their policies, what are the things working? Coastal highway, because it is the things that they are only implementing on their own, so they will go ahead with it. The common, what is it called, student loan policy, we are still yet to kickstart.
May 30th is around.
How many times have it been moved? So let's not even say May 30 again. This is the fourth time that they are calling a date. Well, it's around the corner. Today is 27th. Happy Children's Day once again. So let's see what the government will really be providing. And essentially, another question that we're asking ourselves is, why is it that if it is on resources that concerns those of our leaders, on a slip of a finger, they get it. But what concerns the masses, they would have to discuss and dilly-dally and a lot of conversations. And that is one thing that we are now seeing. A lot of things have turned upside down. A whole Kano state, we are now seeing the government fighting with the traditional institution. And this is now bringing us to the point that at what point would the government say enough? And at what point would the traditional institution have their own authority and their own independence to foster the well-being of the citizens? This is also happening at local government. Well, for me personally, I'm interested to really find out the outcome of this
dragging the governors to Supreme Court
case between the AGF and the governors concerning the autonomy and the financial autonomy and administration of local government system. Ordinarily,
but that should be a plus for the present administration.
That's why I'm saying I'm interested to see how
interested to see the outcome.
The outcome, because ordinarily we know we have the local government, the states, and the federal. So far, we keep strengthening the federal system with little attention around the state activities and no attention at the local government. Whereas it should be the local government that should, of course, that is closest to the people. That if there are issues, when we talk about every state having their own peculiarities, it is now more visible. They said the details, the devil is in the details. It is now more visible at the local grassroots, because if you go to, for example, Anambra State, Ayamelum, that is a riverine area, their need might be different from Obaru, which is still other riverine area, which might be different from if you now go to the likes of Aguata. So it is now those people that will begin to interface with their local government chairman or chairman, whom, when they have their engagement at their own level with the state, it crystallize policies that should positively influence the lives of the people in that community. But over time, when you go to the state governor, he has a lot of roads to construct, he has a lot of IGR, he has a lot of things to do, and then they keep bugging themselves. And then I keep asking myself,
even makes it difficult for
I keep asking myself, even at the northern part of Nigeria, they are even trying that they conduct local government elections, even though the northern and the western, even though when they conduct the election, the party in power sweeps the entire seats. That is another question mark. But so far in Southeast, I don't know, we keep celebrating mediocrity. I don't know why our governors find it difficult to conduct local government election. It is appallable, because with local government election, I bet you close to 5,000 youths would be employed directly, because you would have local government chairmen, you would have their deputies, you would have the councillors. And then of these different wards and other positions that are electable, by the time you would have covered all these numbers, you would have seen 5,000. And these people will be paid from the state account or from the federal government account, whom in turn would want to indirectly begin to conduct their own projects and programs and affect more lives. But if it is on appointment, there is, to an extent, the person can exhibit authority. You can come to him with certain issues. They might not tell you what the problem is. They'll tell you, we've heard you, let us go and solve it. But if they take it to their master and the person says no, what happens? So I think if we really want Nigeria to be working, I'm interested, and every other meaning Nigeria should be interested to see the outcome of this case. And most especially, we should know that we are talking about Office of the Citizen. And Office of the Citizen in Nigeria is the highest office of the land. Until we, the people, understand that and begin to crystallize our power to keep our elected representatives on their toes, that is when we begin to reap the dividend of democracy.
Thank you so much for your submission there. Quickly, let's go to the next paper for review this morning, and that is the Nation newspaper. And the banner headline is saying Tinubu lists gains of Lagos Calabar Road. Federal government sues governors. We've seen that. Over 500 billion capital plan by UBA. SEC plans action on 200 billion unclaimed dividends. EMIA protest in Kano and Gaya. We can see the Federal Capital Territory Administration, Abuja, welcome His Excellency President Tinubu to Abuja, and that's going to be happening today. That's still the same thing on the Guardian newspaper, but then let's see what the firms, Gencos, and in fresh crisis over eligible customer policy review. That you can find on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Council autonomy. Supreme Court fixes May 30th to hear federal government suit against state governors. Lyrics tussle. Protest rocks Kano as government considers curfew to curtail violence. Tinubu promises compensation on coastal highway. And that's good. Quickly, this is really interesting. Firms Gencos in fresh crisis over eligible customer policy review. What's your take on that in this part of the world where we are still battling with energy crisis?
So I think it's despite the millions in dollars now that had been sunk in the energy sector. It's unfortunate that we have not really seen commensurate outcome of the money that has come in there. And it's also further unfortunate that more money has always been engulfed by this sector. This is another interesting sector for us that I think we are yet to uncover the activities that are going on in it. Because I know that when we transited from PHCN to EEDC, now the other distribution companies. We were thinking, now that it is owned by individuals, private individuals, who should now run it as a private firm, maybe there will be a breath of fresh air that will come into the sector. But unfortunately, just since this year, I was talking to some of my colleagues that I now feel that we have gone back to 1999 era, where sometimes we see ourselves with a lantern using Atokwa.
Never expect power always.
It got to a time then when for 3 days you will never see light. We thought we had made gains. Only for this year, we went back to that stage again. 3 days you will not see light. If they bring it, before you stand up to make any move, it's off for that day or for that time. And the question is, we have Minister of Power. What is he doing? Who are the people really that should be accountable? Are they expecting an ordinary citizen who, by the way, has the power to hold them accountable? But are they expecting us to what are they expecting us to do? And they have failed to connect the dots between electricity, power supply, productivity, and even economic development. These things are all connected. I don't know if you have gone home sometimes where there is no light and you feel yourself not even being motivated to work, and the next thing you are off, you sleep. I don't also know if you have seen yourself, sometimes you might be weak late at night, but once you see light, you see yourself energized to do one or two, at least let's tick one box or two boxes, that okay, you've achieved this, the next day you continue. But if it happens like that for 1 week where nobody can do anything, it has an impact, and that is why the economy will continue to suffer. These things are not. So I have argued that for some of the basic things that the government should do, beyond the money that they have spent in the energy sector, if we say they should go and investigate it, we are giving them room to further create a committee that when they sit, will now take another portion of money that they will claim that they want to use to investigate. Let everything go. Let us start afresh. And in starting afresh, I know some persons have gone to Egypt. There are a lot of countries that are doing well. I mean, there is room for peer learning. What are these countries doing very well?
In one of the arguments the GENCOs and the EEDC were having, or the distribution companies were, that a lot of their money is in government hands. I think the last time I checked, it was about 48 billion that government is owing these people. So if you inject that money, if government were to pay for the electricity consumed over the years, wouldn't that be, stand a step in the right direction, and then making them to probably repair some of these issues they keep having about collapse of
grid
structures, grid, and the rest of it all?
That is this is the essential question. And I know one of the dailies last month we were talking about Aso Rock also owing. So these are the issues. And how can a government make a law, a rule, a policy, and begin to renege on what they made for themselves? I mean, for crying out loud, these are what we are suffering. And despite the fact that they have been living on credit, because virtually taxpayers' money.
In other words, we are the people paying for
We are the people paying for this.
Okay, why don't they take it back and start handling it? Because these are private firms that want to make profit out of their businesses. Exactly. And if they're not making profits, we keep having this problem. So if they don't want to pay for the light that they are using, the energy they are using, they should take it back from them.
No.
And start managing it.
How many EEDC staff can conveniently walk into headquarters and go disconnect
power? That is the issue. So what we are looking at here now is our leaders being patriotic, and then being beyond being patriotic, being disciplined. I mean, these are ordinarily what you have consumed. So if you have consumed it, common sense says that for these people to continue to run the system, they need that resources. Why not provide the resources? And it is to make you go back. We are talking about private-public relationship. When it was public-public relationship, is to make you know how much we lose. Because I know then that the head will not come out to call out Aso Rock. or some of those other big parastatals.
Let me even shock you. Remember one time Nigeria hosted a football tournament, an international football tournament, where the light went out. The following day, what came up on the papers was that the stadium, the facility that belongs to government, was owing NEPA, and they felt the best way to get their attention was to
and after that, nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
You know, I would have said that the president should, give an instruction for people that are owing to pay. But since Aso Rock is owing, I don't know who's going to give that particular directive.
That's the kind of thing
it's pathetic. Well, let's see the other papers we have for you this morning. And the next is the Daily Trust newspaper. Well, the big story there, they're still talking about the Emirates. So protesters hit Kano Street to demand Bayero's return. Commissioners, local government chairs on solidarity visit to Sanusi. Don't destabilize Kano, opposition lawmakers tell federal government. I've accepted my fate. The throned emir of Gaya. We've uncovered plot to attack state assembly orders. This is coming from the police. Tinubu's policies necessary but wrongly implemented. This Basanjo. 3 killed, 7 injured as mosques collapsed in Lagos. We cannot educate our children by leaving them begging. Sultan. Police confirm 11 killed in Katsina bandits attack. Tinubu comments Dangote on Lagos Road project. 2 abducted Kogi Varsity students killed. Federal government sues 36 governors, seek full autonomy for local government. We've seen that. Quickly, let's see the last paper we have this morning. That's Nigerian Tribune. Federal government takes governor to Supreme Court. That's a big story there. Sanusi, hunters mount surveillance at Emir's palace. Post MPR hike, daily forex turnover rises to $556.25 million, contrasting stock markets negative trading week. 80% of property owners in Lagos Ibeju Lekki sitting on dead assets. This is coming from an expert. Pa Adebanjo Hill and Hearty, daughter, government killed 18 Ondo travelers, 2 abducted. Kogi Varsity students also killed. Kaduna Abuja train derails in Kano in Kaduna village. Okay, and then Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway will revolutionize transportation and boost tourism. We've talked about that coming from the president. Okay, we've not really talked about what is happening in Kano State.
And that could spiral out of control. And
I'm telling you,
we have civil disorders,
unrest
in the entire Nigeria.
Well, Kano State is another delicate state in Nigeria. It's a state where, beyond the population, beyond the landmass, beyond the commercial activities going on there, is very, 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 very fragile. A slip of a finger, a lot can happen. And it's interesting to really see how the entire situation will turn out to be, because it is more like history is repeating itself. Exactly what is going on has happened before. I cannot begin to remember the name of the governors and the name of the emirs, but I know sometime around the 1980s, a particular emir was deposed. After a while, he was called back again, he was called back after the one that was on seat died. That was when he was called back. But this time around, this is, even though history is replaying, but now it's going to technically be that we have 2 emir living. One, had been, even though that he has been dethroned. I think, once again, even though in Nigeria, in Igbo setting, we know from origin, we were not too akin to traditional institution. The way we operated there was omonna. Every clan, kindred they make their own decisions, but it was in the north where we then have that established and traditional authority. And I would ask again, unfortunately, when we missed it was when Nigerians allowed politics and government to fully have their hand in traditional institutions. when they started giving them certificate of whatever. Unfortunately, when that conversation was on board, some traditional rulers even wanted to cede their powers to the government, thinking the government will be paying them. That was what the government used to really get them. Now, at what level today can we go to a traditional ruler and lodge a complaint, and the traditional ruler will stand up and look at the governor or the president in the eyes and tell them the truth without fear or favor? Any traditional ruler that can do that, you would know how long and how influential he has grown to be. Now, still bringing us back to, we need to decentralize power completely. We need to sit down again, know what is the role of the federal government, what is the role of the state government, once again, what is the role of the local government, and what is the role of our traditional institutes. At what point would they all connect? At what point would they say it is enough, don't interfere? I think we need to have these conversations. If that we have that conversation earlier and it is well understood, what's happening in Kano will not be happening. Because the governor, whom already we know the kind of overbearing power that the constitution has given to them, cannot do all this. And one thing that is more surprising and annoying is when the former governor wanted to depose Sanusi, there was a court order that he should not do it. He went against the court order, went ahead with it, and it stood. So that means illegality stood. And this time around, now that Bayero wants to be deposed, there's another court order, even though it is being combated, because the lawyer that gave the order is not in Nigeria, is in US. So how can you give an order from US? So it is also still bringing before every Nigerian the rotten system that we are dealing with. And in a country where we are not living in law and order, we are not living following a particular system, we get what we get. Election can be called by 4 p.m. and 4 a.m. in the morning, and then when they start giving judgment and what is it called, and interpretation, they give it upside down, because anything can work, anything can happen.
Okay.
And sorry, let me end. This is to the detriment of our children.
All right, Samuel, we want to say a very big thank you to you for being here for the press review this morning. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, that's it on press review. Thank you so much for also being there as our viewers this morning. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we still have other things for you. Stay with us.